For our next teller.
Ready for your next teller?
All right, Beth Holly's work has been published in Her Story and, I'm gonna need my pinky out for this one. And Grand Dame Literary Journal, not my peasant as about to pronounce this as Grand Dame Literary Journal. This sounds like a wrestling tournament. She is in the midst of a personal renaissance, and we are so happy to be a part of it. Lose your minds for Beth Holly.
I also would like to note Beth has come all the way from New York to tell her story to you today. And I believe, where's family? I'm seeing smiley faces. You guys came from New York too, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, amazing. So, give it up for her one more time for flying here for this.
Thank you, everybody. Okay. Is there anything better than the beginning of something? The anticipation of the first pitch when the game belongs to anyone. The smell of dough rising. The dimming of the theater lights. The first kiss. Oh, the first delicious kiss, tasting of possibility. It had been a long time since I had savored the pleasure of a new beginning. My marriage had been on life support for longer than was merciful, and I had finally freed myself. Too many of my best parts had shriveled on arid soil during my marriage, and I longed to replenish them. To breathe life once again into the joy and wonder that I had lost. My ex-husband's narrow comfort zone had confined my world, and my dreams of exotic travel and daring adventure had given way to repeat visits to Vermont in the winter, Cape Cod in the summer, for far too long. But now, with only myself to consult, my horizons had blown wide open. Longing for novelty, I took my first trip just a few months after leaving my husband. Dear friends were celebrating 30 years of marriage with a renewal of vows on the island of Oahu that coincided with my 56th birthday. While celebrating a vow renewal just as I had revoked my own carried more than a hint of irony, I relished the opportunity to travel and to be with their big, crazy family for my first birthday as a reimagined single. This was my first trip to Hawaii, and to make the most of it, I had signed up for a week-long surf and yoga retreat on the island of Maui following the event. I was neither a surfer nor a yogi, just a reborn woman looking for adventure. Having never set foot on a surfboard, a preliminary lesson seemed in order before the program began. And so the vow renewal wasn't until the evening. So early on my birthday morning, I made my way to the hotel surf shop for a lesson. As I rifled through a basket of fermented loner rash guards, those skin-tight shirts that make surfers look buff, a Jeff Spicoli look-alike ambled my way. Hey, you here for a surf lesson? Awesome, I'm Chase. I didn't know whether to swoon or laugh, but Chase was picture perfect for my Hawaiian adventure. I grabbed the least smelly rash guard and followed Chase into a bright pink minibus. Feeling like a kid on a school trip, I pressed my nose against the glass to capture as much Hawaiian majesty as possible. We wove among jagged mountains covered in a carpet of green. Extraordinary tropical flowers grew like weeds at the side of the road. Pods of surfers floated astride their boards on deep blue water, waiting for the next big swell. I suddenly remembered all those surfing videos that I had found on YouTube and tagged but never watched. I was in the best physical shape of my life, but everything I knew about surfing I learned from the movie Point Break. We pulled into the parking lot of a small surf break and Chase grabbed our boards as we made our way onto the beach. I was relieved to see that we'd be starting on the sand, and I had no trouble bouncing up into an empowering warrior pose. Having gotten a few pop-ups under my belt, I felt confident as we paddled out into what looked like gentle surf. Gentle was an illusion. Popping up is a lot harder when the surfboard is moving under your feet. Time and time again, I hit the surf, trying in vain to ride atop rather than beneath the waves. Chase did an admirable job trying to keep my body and mind and spirits up. And after 7 or 8 face plants, I stood on the board for a nanosecond or two and declared victory. Floating astride my board with a grin as big as my sense of accomplishment, I thanked Chase for making my 56th birthday memorable. "That's so rad that you went surfing on your birthday," said Chase, as we slowly paddled our way back to shore, the unspoken "at your age" hanging in the salty air. "You're like my grandma. She just turned 70 and she's gonna do 70 new things this year." I didn't care that I had just been compared to a grandma. I was rad. Chase's grandma surfed her way through my thoughts all day. I loved the idea of committing to do 56 new things in the year to come, and as the Hawaiian sun set in a blaze of glorious color, I made her pledge my own. I didn't know what the new things would be. I made no bucket list. I chose only to be open to possibility, to welcome adventure and novelty into a life that had too long been stuck in painful repetition, to give my eyes the gift of unseen places and my tongue the delight of new flavors, to challenge my body and sharpen my mind, to embrace the universe and feel its embrace in return. Surfing became number 1 on what would become a list of 56 new things accomplished over the course of a year. In the months that followed, I populated the list with extraordinary new foods, duck feet in Shanghai and mofongo in Puerto Rico, and common ones that had somehow escaped my palate, like the not-to-be-repeated pimento olive. I traveled to places I'd never been, sometimes solo, sometimes with friends, always with grin and eyes wide open. I jumped off a waterfall and rode in the back of a pickup truck and shot a handgun, all because I'd never done those things before. Diving into the dating pool, I found ample opportunity for firsts. Online dating, one-night stands, kinky encounters, all found a place on my list of 56 things. I played my first round of golf and traded my skis for a snowboard, reminding myself what it feels like to be a beginner. I did things alone that I had always done in pairs, like go to concerts or buy a house, proving to myself repeatedly that I could. Each new adventure infused my undernourished soul, making hell yes my new mantra. I had no boundaries. If it was new, I was in, and I was insatiable. Enter COVID. Travel came to a screeching halt, as did dating and concerts and so many other potential firsts. My world got smaller, as did my opportunities to do new things. Wiping down my groceries for the first time wasn't exactly scratching my itch. But I chose to redefine my expectations for new things. Instead of trekking through Nepal, I learned how to sew face masks. Instead of skydiving, I joined a Black Lives Matter rally. I attended a joyful backyard movie and a heartbreaking Zoom funeral. I created a TikTok account to chronicle my 56 things. It's actually number 47 on the list. And found an audience eager to hear about my journey from unhappy marriage to joy. Change arrives without notice or invitation, as reliable as the morning sun, creating daily the opportunity for a new beginning. The pandemic hibernation, which at first seemed limiting, proved fertile ground for growth. It didn't matter that I was learning to cut my own hair instead of seeing foreign lands. I was learning, I was growing, and I was thriving. Relieved of the burden of an unhappy marriage, I became a living constellation of new beginnings, forever seeking the new. Like the moonflower that waits for the night to reveal its silky white blooms, I blossomed in the pandemic darkness. And as the New York sun set in glorious color over the Hudson River, I capped my list of 56 things by blowing out my birthday candles with my hands. Surrounded by friends who had scaffolded me through the hard times and welcomed me in the new, I celebrated the unexpected joy of 2020. For amid the darkness that enveloped our globe, I found light. I chose to expand rather than contract. With each new entry on my list, I grew more confident, more centered, more radiant. I gave myself 56 birthday presents, 56 opportunities to grow, 56 expressions of love. For I am the first pitch, the rising doe, the dimming lights. I am the intoxicating first kiss. Thank you.